Hello everybody, Dave here. And on the last video I said I was going to leave the shelves an hour or so. Well, that hour turned into about 24 hours. I just ended up too tired yesterday that I decided I was just going to chill out in the evening. I got more done than I was expecting to do, so I didn't mind sort of taking the break, and I think really I needed it. What it does mean though is that I've still got a few coats to try and get on the shelves. They've had 4 coats now, and okay, yes, they've been able to kind of dry off a bit, but they're definitely not looking ready yet. So if I was thinking about 2 more coats, I actually think it might be more. Simply because it's not quite yet got to the level that I would like it to be. They look good though. You just need them to look a little more. So I'm probably going to try and get a couple of coats on pretty quickly. We'll see how it's looking and then see how many more we may need, because obviously before I do the last one I do want to give it a very, very fine sanding. But I kind of want to find out how many coats I need, because I mean I could move on to doing the uprights and come back to these, but I wouldn't know how many coats I'd need. So anyway, so we'll try and get through these quickish. We'll see how we're gonna get on. I need a sponge. Yeah, I'm gonna try to think. Sort of gut feeling is telling me that 2 more coats isn't going to be enough to get these where I want them to be. Let's move the camera a bit, and we shall get cracking. Like I say, looking nice, feeling alright. I just need to bring up the colour a little more and the shine, because with this being a gloss it should be able to give it a really nice shine. But I mean, when you think about it, with the previous things that I've worked on, they have tended to need sort of 3, 4 or 5 coats of stain, then maybe 3 or 4 coats of clear, and so in total it's a lot of coats of varnish, whereas at the moment, okay, yeah, 4's quite a few. It's actually not that many in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, so looking at what that coat's done, I think it's definitely going to need more than 1 more. And don't forget as well, I still need to do the underside of these for 1, maybe 2 more coats. But yeah, I mean that has quite a nice sort of amount of shine on it. Yeah, so looking at it, it's possible that maybe 2 more. So if we look at the, we can see much of that one, but there's a lot more shine on those than this one. So maybe a couple more. So yeah, so that coat's had a nice effect really. So that's them having had 5, which does kind of mean that my other pieces that are of the same type of veneer, they're probably going to need the same amount of coats, but at least I'll know that when I move on to them. So let's see what it's like then with another one popped on there, and then we'll see if it looks like we may be able to stop at that and then do the fine sanding and then one more coat. I've just put way too much on there. That's a rather daft thing to do. Way too much. Yeah, I could have done with not overdoing that particular fucking layer, but I fucking have done, haven't I? Let's get this, see if we can spread it a little more. Yeah, it's kind of made it look a little whitish really, so not good. Oh, Dave, why would you go and do something so stupid? Let's try and get into all of these. I might have to make a little bit of a mess of it to just bring it back. Okay, that's just about saved it, I think. Yeah, we definitely put way too much on there then. I mean, it's possible that it was still a little too wet from the previous coat. So I think what we'll do is we'll just wait a few minutes and then we'll go for adding the coat onto the rest of them. So I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so it's been a few minutes, and what I'm going to try and do is just add a very small amount onto this one, because I did have to sort of take it off quite hard. So I just want to make sure that I still have applied a bit. And something I might actually be tempted to try at some point is to see what would happen if I was to pour the varnish. Not that I intend on doing that properly, but it was just, I'm thinking of, like for example with this, where it's a surface that isn't completely smooth and you can't really sand it down, but if you can actually put quite a thick layer of varnish on it that would level it off, might work. Probably wouldn't work, but one thing I'm going to have to do as well is have a look at one of the original pictures I took of this bookshelf, just to compare the colours, because obviously I don't have any of the original colour left on any of the wood. So I'm just interested to see how close these shelves are currently looking to how it looked like the colour before. I am thinking that these are now just about at a point where I reckon I could sort of sand them and go for one more layer. So what I think I'll do is, once I've applied it on here, I shall leave them to dry for a good hour or so, and then thinking about it, what I might do while these are drying, I might put them to one side and start applying to one of the other sets of shelves, not sets of shelves, the side pieces, because I don't want to turn these over while they're drying. It does mean that rather than me not doing anything on any of it for an hour, I can get a fair few coats done on the other piece. It would appear that those two coats has taken it from sort of having the colour and being a touch dull to having the colour and being a bit shinier, and I reckon a nice little sanding on there and another coat will do those quite nicely, and if it needs another 2 then so be it. At least with getting a bit of sanding in, that'll help big time. Okay, so I'm going to go and transfer the footage from this particular stint, and we'll move these out of the way and make a start on the other pieces.